It's dark enough that you can almost sneak up on
I
somebody.
know, right? Darker than I thought it would be. Wish we could do like the low beam because it doesn't come out good because of the brightness. So you need like some lighting to help balance it out. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
You can put the cell phone lights on.
Yeah, I know. Exactly right.
Or we can
Front lights.
I think these front lights might even turn up a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all good. We don't even have anybody in it, so. Did you start a little, are they making announcements out there? Or
Yeah,
something like that?
Rudy's making announcements right now. There's
Okay.
a couple of people that want to attend, but they're finishing eating up.
Yeah, totally. We'll start a couple minutes late. I mean, I'm 10, 15 minute mark anyhow, so. Yeah, I want to get a better system down for the live streams, camera, as well as, Instagram. We would have 40 or 50 people easily. Only problem though is that it's only portrait mode, and then two, it's only lives for 24 hours.
It's only good for 24
It's only good for 24 hours. There's no way to store it. You can actually save it when I think about it.
Joe did it last year when he was doing the live, Instagram live.
Yeah.
And then he sent me the video afterwards.
Yeah.
So you have to have some way.
You could, I'm sorry, you can save it. It's just
But it's
where do you?
only.
Yeah, it's portrait only, but then you can take it and put it on. Maybe you can probably take it and put it on YouTube, but it's that whole. I mean, and you get probably get a better hit that way. And maybe we do that. I don't know if that's something we should do instead.
The same number that's calling? No, I've got 3 different numbers calling. They're all spam. Do you get enough spam phone calls on your phone?
I do, like at least a couple times a day, you know?
So when I first got the phone, I called EAS and complained about it, and they're like, "Oh, just get your phone number. Let's try that." And then it probably half the number of calls still.
Oh wow. Let's see how this would actually. Nobody's on here. So if I did, I think I might just kill it. I went here. I said, see how much better that light is versus here. Maybe I should just do that too. Snipe off. Where's the speaker? Right here.
Autodesk just started a live.
You mean me? Everybody. Oh, there's. Oh wait, that's Curtis. Let me get my stuff real quick. On Instagram. Tune in live, man.
YouTube, right? He did, because the error message says that he's streaming music that he doesn't have rights to broadcast. So he killed his broadcast because of that.
That's crazy. What? He killed his error message streaming music that he doesn't have rights to. Well, it's like stream.
Yeah. So yeah.
Listening to this. Oh it was on.
Yo. What I worry about there.
We live stream.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I picked up the music. Oh, freak it out, man.
Thank you, everyone, for coming this afternoon. Hopefully, everybody had a great lunch. That was absolutely wonderful. I think I got a little bit on my tie, but hopefully you can't tell us. So it's a pretty ugly tie. Today, we're going to be live streaming this Tech Talk. So those of you who have Mazak, social media and Instagram, it's going to be Instagram Live. All right, it'll be on Instagram Live. So without further ado, to cover the social media marketing for manufacturing, Mr. Curtis Chan, Product Marketing Manager of Autodesk.
Awesome. Is hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for me. Justin, can you see me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Just a show of hands, who here has a social media account? Okay. Now, who here has one for business, for their business purposes? Okay. Who here would like to have one for their business? Thought about it. Okay. Who here thinks that social media is really just for millennials? A handful of people. Great. Well, my goal today is to kind of show you kind of the experience I've seen as I've gone through. I'm not some guru at social media, but I think what we've seen in this movement where social media will go to is that there is a big influence. Who knows what this is? Anybody? No idea. Router. So this is actually a 56.6K modem. right? And I grew up in this era where this was the way I connected to the internet, right? So if someone picked up the phone at my house, it would then kill the internet because it was connected through your landline, right? And what this did is that it introduced a new way of technology, right? And what we call this is infinite computing. That's what the internet really did for us. And not only is it infinite computing, but it is infinite knowledge at the end of the day as well. Infinite capabilities. And when you think about this from a bigger picture, innovation is something that we think in general doesn't care about us. Because who here is on YouTube or follows YouTube or knows this guy, Gary Vee? Anyone see some of his stuff? So when you listen to Gary, right, and I'm a big follower of all these, YouTube people just because it's always great and it's always free knowledge, but innovation doesn't care about us, right? And if you don't want to change at the end of the day, this is the hardest thing people are afraid to do is change in general, right? So there's this great book, I was talking with Steve about called Who Moved My Cheese? I don't know if anybody ever read this book, but it talks about, hey, well, what happens if something changes in the organization? And this is the key part, is we're in this paradigm of change today. So what do? So when we think about what's out there, not only are we changing throughout the business process, but everything that we do is changing. The way we even take transportation today, right? Versus taxi versus an Uber. To even the way we communicate with one another is what's changing as well. Right? So when you think about, I don't know if everyone saw that viral image on the internet where it showed what the cell phone replaced. I think it replaced 50 different items from the 80s, right? A watch, a stopwatch, your VHS camera, your camcorder, your phone, right? And I grew up in the era where, when you had a video camera, my father would carry the VHS attachment, then the camera, so you plug the VHS into the camera. That's how you recorded your home videos. Nowadays, with my kids, I just whip up my iPhone and I get everything in 4K. This is where we're going as a society. But even the way we take in and market today is changing as well, right? Who here still markets through maybe, let's say, CNC West or Manufacturing News or any one of these magazines that are out there today, right? So one or two guys, right? And if you do plan to do that, it is still quite a bit of money. But then when you start thinking about, well, who does that really touch? Well, compared to nowadays, when you go through a phone or you market through something like, let's say, Facebook or YouTube, you get those ads on YouTube that breaks up your video when you're trying to watch it, or even Instagram. This is a new form of marketing. Now, think about it from a cost perspective, but only to a geographic location. What I found really interesting is that, when I started playing around with Facebook and Instagram, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, is I can market per geographical region. So if I said, hey, I'm going to be at this event today, I can pick everybody up in a 50-mile radius who is and follows us on Instagram or follows us per a specific, as they say, a hashtag, which is really a pound sign, what we used to call it back in the 80s, but they call it a hashtag today. I can find them in a geographic area and throw $20 behind it, and then it would market to those people. And that's it, right? And ping people say, hey, Curtis will be here at this event. Why don't you come by and take a look? Or it'll pop up in their feed, as they call it. Hey, they're doing something. Autodesk is doing something. Why don't you do it for $20 versus me spending thousands of dollars probably through a newspaper ad? Not saying this doesn't have a place, but as we talked about change, right, of how we're marketing today, this is a big deal. So as we talk about who's on there, and the biggest thing I've heard is, hey, you know what? That's not my customer on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. My guy doesn't go to YouTube or Facebook to check out friends. They like to just go to their newspaper and do things. And it's really interesting when we start talking about all these different social platforms out there, as we talk about Instagram and Facebook. These are kind of the big six that you probably hear about. And a lot of the questions that come up is, well, where do I go? And I don't know how to use any of these, and that's so much extra work I have to do these. And I'm not telling you to, well, go have a face on every single one of these, but you can kind of pick and choose per your industry. And I rank them per what I see out there in the manufacturing realm today. But when it comes back to persona, the biggest thing I found interesting is that when you look at geographically just the US, right? And let's talk about Facebook first. Who here has a Facebook? Cool. Everybody has Facebook. People probably don't want to, raise their hand, probably trolling people on Facebook, but don't post anything, right? Everybody has a Facebook account. And when you think about who lives on Facebook, there are over 350 Americans. We're talking only the US today. 350 people that have a Facebook account. Now, coming back to my whole point, people that I talk to say, hey, you know what? Oh, well, that's still not my persona. The 60-year-old or the 50-year-old guy who owns a shop or is running a job shop or working at this customer or company, they don't go to social media. They don't do things. I said, okay, understand, because when you look at some of the stats, 60% of people watch videos on Facebook rather than YouTube. So if you're creating some content and you think YouTube is the place to go, which is still a great place, more people go in here to just watch a video at the end of the day in the US, right? So something to think about if you're doing some machining footage or talking about something, a great place. But then two, you talk about persona and who's really out there. Well, 58 million of those people, what we call them, I guess the millennials, right? They are on Facebook daily. And that's a large amount. That comes back to that point of, oh, well, my people aren't on there. And let's say 42 million of those are in the age 35 to 40. And this group, they are probably having the business passed down to them from the previous generation. They're taking over. They're thinking about technology and what they can do to move their business forward. And that's still ahead of the age of 45 to 54. So now we're saying, okay, that's still quite a bit of people in this age group that live on only Facebook, I'm telling you, right? But then you would expect, well, now you're getting into like maybe the 55 to 65-year-old range. That should go down to the million, right? Because they don't feel that technology is important. When you look at this age group, 26 million people in this age group are on Facebook daily. This is a heavy amount when you think about who else you can market to, right? For that, it's free. Okay, this is not really costing you a lot of money to get out there and position yourself. So the other one that we at Autodesk have really taken a liking to is Instagram. Anybody here have an Instagram account or familiar with Instagram? And you're going to see a lot more hands come up because we're going to talk about these hashtags that have worked well for us that I'd share with you, and things that you can think about. How do you strategically position yourself out there, right? And become in that group and see what's going on. But 91% of people that are on Instagram today post photos. So I'm not telling you got to go create some fancy video and post it. You just do a selfie with whoever and post that to Instagram, right? And on top of that, they are the highest engaged social platform out there today. And that's one thing that we actually spend a lot of time on, is because there's engagement, meaning that people actually stop, look at it, and then read something and then move forward, right? For free. Thinking about it from a marketing standpoint. And then two, when you start getting into more of the hashtag side of things, anybody have follow or heard about this hashtag? Insta-machinist, right? So surprisingly, when you think about this, whoever even thought about this hashtag, right? And what's the purpose of a hashtag? I want to talk about the hashtag side because this is kind of the formula behind everything of why when you do social, you got to kind of use a hashtag, because everything's through like a search. It's like you saying, I'm looking for soccer tricks on YouTube. Like that's the keyword, soccer tricks. Think about this as what the hashtag is, right? Type in Insta Machinist. Anybody that does machining and use that hashtag will pop up. And you look at the amount of people that use this hashtag, there's 200, there's quite a bit of people that are specifically typing this in. Some of the ones that are very popular to follow as well is, machining, right? Very, very straightforward. This one has a total of about 243,000, which is still a great following out there. The other one that's super surprising is this one. Have you ever heard of this hashtag before? How many people are following this hashtag? 100 million people. A lot of sick people out there, huh? No, I'm just joking. There's only like 70,000 people following this hashtag, but it's just telling you, like, this is kind of a buzz that we've seen throughout social media. Is like people come up with these weird hashtags, tag things, and it just, you hear those things called viral videos, right? This is part of that whole process of things to start going viral in a fashion. Now, when we continue forward, what is some of the content that you want to create? Because the biggest question is, well, do I got to now go hire, my 23-year-old niece that lives on social, know what she's doing to go do social? No, it's just think about and keep it simple, right? Think about what you're doing every day. We have people that use our products, right? Everything from Power Melts, Fusion, and they showcase what they're doing with our products, right? And you can see the group of hashtags. And if you feel overwhelmed that you got all these hashtags, you got to sit here and type it in, just what I do is I just create a notepad, copy, paste copy paste every single time when I have to post something, right? And you don't have to post 10 times a day. Start small, start maybe once a week, and then maybe 3 times a week, so forth and so forth, to slowly build that brand. Other things too that we've seen is people in the pictures, right? One thing we realized, or analytically, what I've seen just through the stuff I've managed at Autodesk, is when you post a picture with people in it, is the #1 highest engaged pictures out there. So people just like to interact and see people, because when you see somebody at an event, you're like, oh, that's so-and-so from this event, and so forth. And the next thing too is I like to have some fun, right? So as a amateur machinist, I created this. I'm a big fan of sports, and I don't know if everybody has seen on Sports Center, they do this thing called like Come On Man on football, people who make mess ups, all fumbles and all that. Well, I took that same concept and I did it something called Come On Dude, where somebody like broke an end mill, had a part fling off. And I said, let me just test this in the market. It's all about testing and seeing your engagement. This is one of the highest engagement pieces out there. People always messing up on their CNC machines. For some reason, people like to see people mess up all the time and think it's funny. And you look at the engagement, I had 23,000 views watch this, right? And it's not like we have millions and millions of followers, but it shows you the type of engagement and the content you can get creative in doing things. Another thing too is, we like to build a community, because when you go look at, let's say, for example, a brand on social media, for example, let's say if you look up Coca-Cola or Kodak or Polaroid, people look at an image and they don't want it to be robotic, right? But what makes the brand is the people behind it. And what makes our brand and our community are our customers at the end of the day. So one thing we do is we have something called the Autodesk Cam Challenge. All this is saying, hey, any one of our customers, take this part, here you go and machine it. And what's amazing is that we've had over, I would say, 100 people contribute to creating a random part that we give, and they can win prizes and swag and all types of stuff. But the most interesting part is when you look at a lot of these different images out there, from chop and mold or a logo to even getting into now a 5-axis piece of our Autodesk logo as well. This is interesting because people have to take time out of their day, buy their own material, find time out of their family to then compete in this competition. And yet we can get a couple hundred people to contribute and give back to the community and show that camaraderie. So it's amazing to show that the power of a hashtag and what it does. Now, from my perspective, what we've also seen too is that our partners have actually seen what we're doing. And, you look at Mazak, the contributions we've done here and how we work together, is that they've donated back to the community, right? Hey, you're going to do something, here you go. We'll donate that as a prize and so forth. So the really big thing is, I see this as, get this clicker going, is what are some of the processes of how do you start marketing socially? And I'm going to pick Instagram as just the example here, is how do you even go through it? So what it is, when you actually try to just market an image or get some likes towards it, what it is tells you, well, what's your goal? What do you want to do? Do you want to drive more people to your website, to your social channel, or do you want to promote some type of event? For example, we'll use this as an event. The next thing it says, well, what's the radius you want to go in? I don't know, I want to go 100 miles or 18 miles within my geographic location, and the age and the gender is 13 to 65. I don't care. I want everybody to know about what's going on here. And then lastly, all it is, well, how much money you want to spend. If you spend more money, you get more reaches and more profile visits. It's just all it is a slider bar. So all this takes is less than 30 seconds to market an event, rather than you trying to create some fancy image that you have to get published in a newsletter or an article or something like that. So my goal here today is just to really give you guys that idea of what else is out there, of how you can maybe leverage and market your products, whatever events you're doing, build some social presence. But the key thing is that I want you guys to go out there and buy my book. It's called Conquering Social, okay? No, I'm totally joking. This is just a fake image. This is not a book I'm trying to push whatsoever. It's all this. You Broadway Joe here saying business growth 300%.
If you went to the earlier presentation, you'd have seen it.
We would have. But with that said, 3 things I want you guys to keep in mind. Anybody seen this movie before? Yeah. Don't ever take your spouse to watch this movie, for those of you who haven't seen it. Great movie. But first thing is, always keep in mind, is download one of these apps. I'm not saying go download all of them, but pick one, right? Our favorite is Instagram here. The next thing is try to post something out there. I think it's really important to just start. Just whether it's you sitting on a chair or taking a picture of the Mazak pencil that they gave you, whatever it is, start an engagement, and it'll take time to build that following. And speaking of following, is follow us on Autodesk, right? We're Autodesk.mfg. You know, it's one brand here. It's Autodesk Manufacturing. We have plenty of products to help you guys out, but we're here to give back and build this community in itself. Any questions at all? Yes, sir.
Are you aware of ways to import contacts from Google, from Facebook, from Outlook, anything like that into Instagram?
In a fashion of finding those people, or just to, what's kind of the end goal?
So instead of starting out from scratch and adding friends manually, you know, or followers manually, is there a way to auto-populate that from another platform?
Totally. So Facebook owns Instagram as well as Snapchat as well as everything else, right? So at the end of the day, if you have a Facebook account or business account, they actually pull in all your contacts and finds those people on these additional platforms to recommend you to follow. Now, the only thing though is like, I understand your perspective of, hey, you know what? I have like my contact list of, you know, Adam Smith is in there. The problem there is that you don't know Adam Smith's profile name on these other platforms. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. But if you have one social platform, all of them link together and pull all your contacts on different ones, which does work well. Any other questions? Great. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, our next speaker is going to cover additive manufacturing and tend to hopefully controlling our expectations. It's the Los Alamos National Labs additive specialist, Mr. Paul Dunn.
Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank Rudy for inviting me to come out, and lunch was awesome. I don't think I spilled anything on my shirt either, but I won't know until I get back to the hotel. So you know where I come from. I'm a welding engineer, is my background. So when I